I had a client come in and she'd had 30 years of therapy from other therapists focused on trauma, mostly about really just telling her story. Okay, and the more she told the story, the more dysregulated she got, which is a phenomenon we're familiar with dissociative clients and some clients with complex PTSD. Is they don't have the ego skills to be able to tolerate the emotion. So, of course, we worked in the early phases of treatment with these stabilization skills of emotion regulation and tolerance, and learning to create a kind of narrative about all kinds of things that was in her window of tolerance. But as we worked, it began to be more clear to me that she was more dissociative than she wanted me to know. We had talked a bit about ego states and that kind of thing, but it became clear that there was very definite amnesia between her experience of herself as an adult and her experience of herself as a child. And she had an image inside of many children who were screaming and crying desperately and could never get relief. And so her way of coping with that had always been to try to go on as an adult and look really good as an adult and function, but at the expense of trying to ignore and suppress and even deny these young parts of herself that held her childhood experiences. And so what happened over time is the typical thing that happens with clients who are dissociative is that parts begin to resent each other, be afraid of each other, be ashamed of each other. So that the young parts were really angry with the adult part for not tending to them, as though she were a separate adult person. Mm-hmm. And the adult self was really wanting to deny and minimize and avoid the young parts because she felt like she couldn't tolerate those emotions. So this is the typical conundrum in working with parts. So instead of working with one part at a time, which I think newer therapists try to do with DID, and which I think is not very effective, I really began to work with her as a whole system, sort of helping the adult self accept her vulnerabilities and helping the vulnerable self accept that, yes, she had grown up and was now much more capable than she was as a child. And just shuttling back and forth between those, helping the adult self develop better compassion and cooperation internally with these young parts. So I never, in this particular case, never worked with an individual child part, although there are certainly cases in which you might do that for particular reasons, but was really able to help the adult client deal better with these separate parts of herself, to the point where both sides could say, oh, the other side is also me. The child and the child parts could say, oh, that's me, now I'm grown up. And so that realization on both sides grew. So that's how I like to work, really taking a careful approach to those conflicts between parts that maintain dissociation.
So when she presented, initially you had said she had 30 years of therapy.
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it?
So my guess is, how did she present? What was her understanding of what her experience was?
In those 30 years of therapy?
Well, in other words, did she come to you saying, I have DID and this is what's going on and that's what's going on? Okay.
No, she didn't come that way. She came saying,